So you're looking to get into real estate investing, you're not sure which direction you want to go, single family versus multifamily for a long-term investment. Well, this is the perfect video for you. We're going to get right into it so you know exactly what is happening here. Really plain and simple, does it work in today's market? Yeah, I definitely am going to answer that right away. But before I do, I want to let you know I'm going to be having some huge pro tips, going to go over the major risks, and then there's a number one question to ask. This is freaking huge, this question. I swear if you're not asking it, you're probably going to be making a major mistake. So we'll be getting to it all. But yeah, knocking it out of the park right here. Let's go. Does it work in today's market? Well, guess what? I've got clients that are doing it both ways. So I'm here to let you know that you can do single family. Oh my goodness. So I'm here to let you know you can do single family and you can do multifamily. It doesn't make a difference, but it makes a huge difference onto which one you do first, second, and I'll be talking about that later, especially when I get to the major risks. So stick around for that. There's a lot to go over in this video, okay? I have clients that are literally sleeping on maybe the basement floor right now, cash flowing in a single family. I've got clients that are absolutely killing in a multifamily. So if you want to do whichever route you want, it can work. Really what it's going to come down to is what does it take to make it work? That is huge. But before I dive into it, I'm Sean McIntyre, the house hacking realtor of Northern New Jersey, and the team leader of the Living North Jersey real estate team. I get phone calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to invest, house hack, get the financial freedom in Northern New Jersey. So definitely gonna wanna watch some of these videos if that is something you're interested in, okay? So look, with the single family, I'm telling you, what does it take? It takes a certain person. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, if you're gonna be house hacking with a family like myself, literally we house hacked with 4 kids and 2 dogs going property to property, no way in hell am I moving into a single family and renting out rooms to strangers. Okay, so that's gonna be first things first. It's probably gonna work best maybe if you're single, or, you know, I don't even know if I want to do it with my wife here or my significant other. I'd probably just want to be a single bachelor if I'm gonna do a rent by the room strategy. That's my personal opinion. Drop a comment below if you think I'm crazy. Say yes, say no. Just drop a comment below, okay? So for my opinion on this one, it takes a certain person that's gonna want to do that rent by room strategy in the single family home. Multifamily, on the other hand, you have a lot more flexibility. You have a lot more room to maneuver. So I think, as you'll see in this video, I lean heavily towards multifamily because you do see there are things that just make a little bit more sense. For myself, you know, I have 4 kids and 2 dogs. It's very easy. We had our unit, and then there is a wall with a big door and a big lock, so no one could come into it. And we were renting out the other unit, you know, paying the bulk of our mortgage, or the tenant was paying the bulk of our mortgage. So in my opinion, having that multifamily gives you a lot more freedom, a lot more flexibility. So just want to keep that in mind when analyzing this, when looking at the different scenarios. Now, what does it take? Okay, actually, you know what? When I get I'm going to talk about this a little bit more when I get the better results. Okay, huge pro tip here. Now, this is one I've been talking about a lot more in my videos because I'm actually seeing this and I'm like, I don't know why the gurus don't talk about it. I don't know why like the national entities don't talk about it. Well, I kind of do, because I think they want the ratings, they want the clicks, but they try to make stories that are across the board, where it's like, you can't buy a multifamily and here's why, or you need to buy a single family and here's why. And they speak to you as if it's happening in every single market. It's not true. Huge pro tip. You need to align with local people in your market and ask them questions. You need to find out what's working, find out what's not working, because there are things in our market that absolutely do not work. There are things in our market right now that are killing it and no one talks about it. You know, people says Airbnb is dead. It's not. We're actually just changing the strategy a lot with it, where we're not really doing the short-term rentals as much in Airbnb. We're doing a lot with the midterm rentals. So to say Airbnb is dead, that is not the best statement. To say short-term rentals are dead, also not true, because you can do a short-term rental if you have a midterm as your backup. So we're seeing huge success with that. But that's something you would know if you're local to the market. So connect with people locally, go to meetups, find things like this on YouTube, click subscribe to videos like this, especially if you're interested in Northern New Jersey real estate investing. This is where I release videos every single week for people like you. My goal is to get you to financial freedom and fast track your investing journey so you don't pay the stupid tax that I had to pay originally. I didn't have YouTube when I first started, all right? So, but what I did have is I had people to network locally in my market, learn from them, repeated the secrets that work. Don't have to make this crazy algorithm of, find this wild, crazy new idea. So many things are very simple and they're just repeated. You have to know the process, all right, and understand it, which you can learn pretty easily. So I say that's a massive, huge pro tip is go dial into where you're living and figure out what's working. Because I'll tell you this much, single family properties might not be the best in our market. We still have creative ways to make them work and they can work, but you might go to a place like Tennessee, maybe they're killing it with single family properties and multifamily properties stink, okay? So yeah, it's going to be a market thing. Huge, huge tip. Which gets the best results, multifamily or single family? Now look, like I said earlier, I'm alluding to multifamily, but I want to break things down a little bit more for you in deeper detail so you really understand it. So you got two properties, both single family. Let's say they make 10K or they're 10K in taxes for a year, okay? 10K, both single family, SF, okay? How much do you think the multifamily is gonna be? Do you think it's gonna be 20K in taxes? Do you think it's gonna be 15K? Do you think it's gonna be 8K? Obviously not. It's gonna be more than 10K. It's probably gonna be something like 13K, 14K, maybe somewhere around there. Now look, this is an absolute, it can vary a little bit, but I am gonna say it's not gonna be 20K in taxes. It's not gonna be double the amount because it's two family, okay? So something to realize when you're buying it, you're buying a single family, you're gonna pay the pinnacle in taxes twice, all right? In a multifamily, you're gonna pay more taxes. Is it gonna be much more? Not double, okay? So now let's look at maybe monthly rents. Let's say this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Well, let's just make up numbers here. 4K per month is the rent, all right? This here, is it gonna be 4K? No, but it's gonna be significant. We're gonna say 3.5K, okay, per month, all right? So once again, it's not 4K, but it's sure as heck not cheap. So when you run the numbers on that, this looks a little bit more attractive, and that's why the multifamily route tends to be a little more attractive in northern New Jersey, because the numbers do make more sense. They're both gonna appreciate really nicely. I was actually having a conversation today with a client and he's asking, hey, which one appreciates better? If I had to pick, like someone came and held a gun to my head and said, Sean, you have to pick, it is really tough because I'm telling you right now, my multifamilies absolutely kill it because I'm picking the right market. I'm picking a market that appreciates heavily. So they're beating a lot of the single family. So first thing to answer that question, it's gonna be town to town, market to market, area to area, zip code to zip code, to really make an apples to apples comparison. But if I were to say the multifamily in the same town as a single family and which one's gonna be better, I'm gonna say, I don't wanna say it, but I'm gonna say it. I guess the single family might appreciate faster. It'll probably get a little higher rents, but it's so close. The reason I think multifamily is better is more so because really the short term is a lot more successful. What I mean by that is I think you run into some risks with the single family where you must implement a strategy in a particular way. If you don't, for example, a rent by room, if you go and you buy a single family with the intention of making a long-term investment and you're house hacking in that property, you have to do a rent by room. If you find out that you hate the people that you're renting a room by, or you can't do it, or it just sucks, it's not for you, you're kind of out of luck. You have to do it. For a multifamily, let's say you go and you rent out one unit, you rent out the other, and then let's say you try a rent by room in your unit, it's not working out. Okay, you can say just leave and you still have the other unit paying rent. Or maybe in the other unit, you want to try and do a midterm rental strategy. All right, cool. You find out you don't like it. Okay, I'm going to do a long-term rental. All right, you have a lot more flexibility with multifamily in the short term. And that's why I really like it. So I think the risk gets mitigated with multifamily. Long-term, they're both going to kick ass. They're both good. This is North New Jersey. We appreciate high. We get awesome rents. We get awesome, very low vacancies. So they're going to work in that capacity long-term. But I think short-term, we're gonna go short-term a little bit better for you. All right, continuing along here now, I have some major risks. Don't worry, I'm getting to that number one question, and this question is huge. It's freaking huge, I'm telling you. It's probably one of the best questions you could ask, okay? So we're gonna get to it. Major risk, okay, what do I mean by that? So look, obviously there's always gonna be risks with both, but believe it or not, it's not as crazy as they're made out to be with real estate. Really, it's just a matter of having enough money and having a strategy in place and going and you take action and kick ass with it. But being around the right people is huge in this, okay? But the big risk that you see is if you do the single family route. Now listen up here, because this is really, really huge. If you do the single family route, it is very tough to get to a multifamily using a low money down loan, okay? So the risk that you're running into is you're gonna have to either sell this property or work your butt off to then have enough to put a 20 or 25% down payment to buy that multifamily, okay? Or you have to do a major value add where you can cash out like a huge amount of cash, you know? Think about this, $1 million property, that's $250,000 you have to put down. Or $1 million property, you put down $50,000. Just imagine only putting $50,000 down to buy a multifamily. Okay, but here's what's just cool. Going multifamily to multifamily isn't that difficult. You can do it. You can use low money down loans, okay? But when you go up in units, single family to multifamily, lending doesn't like that. And they kind of flag it. Underwriters like, hell no, you can't do that. So it becomes tough to do single to multi, all right? So you need to know these things, because the last thing I want to see you do is you want to be this big time real estate investor. You're going to buy all these properties and your goal is to buy a multifamily one day, and then you find out you can't use a low money down loan anymore because you bought that single family property. All right, I don't want to see that be you, because it was me. I learned the hard way and ended up selling that single family and then moved on to make the multifamily. But I'm very gracious for that, because now I can teach people like you, which is another reason why you should be clicking subscribe right now if you haven't already. Click subscribe so you can stay up to date on future videos that I come out every single week with these things. Okay, here we go, moving along. The number one question, and this is going to be pertaining a little bit to this huge pro tip. You know, I'm always saying you want to be with local people. Don't get too sucked into these national huge podcasts and YouTube channels that talk on a broad perspective, because it doesn't answer these questions on a high level. But the number one question you want to go, and that is when you're asking someone who you're going to work with, maybe it's a realtor, maybe it's an investor, you want to go up to that person and you want to say this: have you done this before, and can you share what you've done? Okay, plain and simple. Everyone, and this is so crucial, especially when you're dealing with realtors, every realtor says that they can work with you. Every realtor is like, yeah, I can find that, yeah, I can do that, yeah, I can do that. Guess what? If you want a fix and flip, do not come to me, because I suck at fix and flips. I don't know how to do them. I'm not that guy. I'd be guessing. I'm very good at live-in fix and flip because I've done them multiple times. Takes a major difference, a live-in fix and flip and a fix and flip. All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about, drop a comment below. Happy to explain in a little more detail. Okay, but let's see, house hacking, I've done it many times, lots of times. I've got the systems in place. House hacking is much different than a fix and flip. So don't come to me asking, hey Sean, can you find me a fix and flip? Because I'm not your guy, okay? And best of all, when you come and you ask me and you say, Sean, how many flips have you done? I'm gonna tell you none. But you're gonna say, Sean, how many times have you house hacked? I'm gonna give you serious answers. I'm gonna break down strategy. I'm gonna say, this is what I've done because I've lived through it. And it makes a major difference than someone that's hypothesizing, saying, oh, maybe we can do it like this, or maybe that's gonna work, opposed to, no, this is what I did, and this is how I know it can work for you. Example being, when renovating properties, I've done everything from renovating myself to sub out the work to a combination of both. That is huge, especially when you're living in the property. How do you map out a renovation? It's very easy for someone on the outside to say, oh, hire this guy, hire that guy, but how do you do it if you actually have to live in the kitchen that you're renovating? Major, major difference. So number one question you need to ask when you are interviewing people to work with is, have you done this before? Because I want to learn from real life examples, not real life guesswork, okay? For more videos like this, click subscribe, and you might want to see a video right here. It's gonna be about house hacking. It's meant for you. Click the video.